never be a memory.
And what's going on, Read My Lips people? We are back. So I got some very sad news for you guys. I just found out some stuff about Yang that is gonna cast him in a different light. A lot of you people are gonna see him different. Maybe even see him as a monster, a tyrant, dare I say. And the New York Times has put out an article about it. And look, if there's any kids watching this, or elderly people who scare easily with bad hearts, they might want to turn this off now. I know we've all been vying for Yang, and it's the candidate that we thought we wanted. He's the candidate that we thought we needed, but this just might be unforgivable. So New York Times has paid someone and dedicated a piece about Andrew Yang. They thought this was worthy of a piece to put out. A hit piece, if you will. And it goes as, New York Times runs a hit piece on Andrew Yang, and it includes a complaint that he, quote, pressured employees to do karaoke. Yeah, New York Times put out a piece on Andrew Yang calling him a monster because he pressured employees to do karaoke. Now, first of all, how does that even play out? Are we so PC now? Are we so milquetoast and weak now that you supposedly pressure someone to do karaoke, and it's like, guffaw, clutch your pearls and pull your pocketbooks closer? How does that even play out, New York Times? How does that play out? What are you at the office, and Yang's like, hey, Bill, we're going to do some karaoke. You down? And Bill's like, nah, I'm good. And Yang's like, nah, Bill, like, we're going to do some karaoke, bro. Let's do some karaoke. Bill's like, nah, Karen's waiting for me at home. I told the kids we, do this and that, and so I can't. Yang's like, Bill, we're going to fucking do karaoke now. Like, how does that even play out? Like, what do you mean he pressured people? Get over yourselves. Get over yourselves. So they put out this ridiculous hit piece on Andrew Yang, and pretty much what they did is they went to former employees of Andrew Yang and disgruntled former employees. No, they didn't go to anybody that had anything positive to say. They specifically seeked out people that had negative things to say about Andrew Yang, and they pretty much interviewed him. And I'm not going to go through the entire article because it's a long one, but I will take some pieces out and just to show you how ridiculous this hit piece is. So what they go on to say is that they start off with that Yang laid off campaign staff because he had a poor performance in Iowa. And the New York Times argued that the scrutiny of his life before the novelty of his presidential bid got lost in the 2020 coverage. I don't think the scrutiny of his life before his presidential bid got lost. I just think it wasn't that exciting or important. There is no drama or anything ridiculous in it before. He was an everyday person like the rest of us. There is no drama. There is no scandal. So there's really nothing that got lost. There's just nothing there. The Andrew Yang on the presidential stage, the one who spoke about the need for more women in leadership and the lack of racial diversity among top-tier Democratic candidates, was the same person they'd once worked for. But for some of his former employees, it seemed almost impossible to believe how far he'd come. Of course, because they don't like him. There are people that don't like other people, especially when you're in charge and you're in management. I'm the assistant manager where I work. I'm sure there's some people that worked for me that don't like me. I'm sure there's some people that don't like Yang, and they're probably displeased about how far he'd come. This is so milquetoast. This is so milquetoast. And yes, he complains about the lack of diversity and the fact that we need more women in leadership roles. This is a good thing. Like, why is that shocking? Why is that newsworthy? Yes, this is what he does. The Time goes into detail about a 2015 essay Yang read about the market value of female-directed horror film The Babadook, which I've watched multiple times, and the kid in that movie is annoying. But it was a good movie at the time. It was a good movie. I think I watched it on Netflix several times. And about how more women should be given more opportunity in the industry. But when he spoke to his employees about it, female staffers exchanged glances, and some felt as if Mr. Yang was discovering sexism for the first time and explaining it to them. So let's get this straight. Andrew Yang watches The Babadook, clearly likes it, and clearly says we need more female women in the industry, and is complaining that we don't have more. And so you guys looked at each other awkwardly and was like, but there's sexism. Duh. Like, no shit. He's aware there's sexism. Is he still not allowed to voice that more women should be in this industry? So he just shouldn't say anything. Because such things as sexism exist, he shouldn't speak on it. He should say, oh, no, duh. Why? I'm not even going to suggest that more women should be in this industry because sexism. We can't have more women in this industry. He's not even going to speak on it. What a weird... Why are you exchanging glances? Your response should have been, you're right. We need more women in this industry. What the fuck? That should be your response, not... But there's sexism, Yang. Like, what? I don't know. That's so... Personally, to me, that's weird. In his life before politics, they said they saw in Mr. Yang a man who was smart, had good ideas, was a persuasive speaker, and was occasionally inspiring. But he sometimes stumbled in his dealings with gender and race, expressing what the former employees said were antiquated and unnerving views for a presidential candidate seeking the nomination from a Democratic Party that have been moving to the left. So, I don't think he stumbled in his dealings with gender. I think that was something they tried to make a thing. I've debunked it. I've dropped a 40-minute video during that Melissa Milano, when she dropped out, issue. Whenever an issue with gender, specifically women, have come up, which is like their scapegoat thing to do, they'll be like, but ha! Women! Look what you've done. See? Women. It doesn't work. It usually backfires. And that's why a big thing never came from it. That's why it always gets petered out. So really there is no issue with women. He hasn't stumbled with women at all. But the media tries to make it a thing. Now, race. I don't think he's really stumbled with race as well. But there is things he can work on. Okay? So, don't touch reparations. It's not happening. Or at least not happening anytime soon. I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings. I know it bothers a lot of people. It gives you that yuck feeling inside. But it's not happening. You're allowed to disagree. But it's not happening anytime soon. We can't do Medicare for all. We can't do a Green New Deal. But yeah, we can get reparations. Don't touch it. Don't be a Tom Steyer. Don't pander. Don't do the fake reparations. I already did a reparations rant in the last video. I'm not doing another one. But if I was Andrew Yang, I wouldn't even touch reparations. Stay away from it. Because then you'd be lying to people. If you, the African-American community in particular, if you want to laser focus on something dealing with African-Americans, and I've said this before, you need to talk about the health disparities in the healthcare system that African-American women in particular have. That's where you should start. Stay laser focused on that. Fix that. Help to fix that solution. You can't do everything. You can't tackle everything. You may want to, but you can't. So you're trying to give everybody $1,000 a month, which would exponentially help African Americans out. But for those that say, no, but I don't want everything, something that everybody has. What about us in particular? What about me? That's where you laser focus on, because it's an important issue. It's not a pandering issue, and it's one you can actually work on and help and fix. So if you didn't know, well-educated black women have worse birth outcomes than white women who haven't finished high school. African American infants are more than 2.4 times more likely as white infants to die in their first year of life. Nationally, black women account for 66% of new cases of HIV among all women. HIV and AIDS-related illnesses is the leading cause of death among black women ages 25 to 34. That is fucking huge, okay? While black women have a lower rate of breast cancer diagnoses than white women, they have a drastically higher rate of mortality as a result of the disease. The breast cancer death rate for black women ages 45 to 64 is 60% higher than for white women. Black women are disproportionately likely to live in food deserts, which lack access to high-quality, healthy food. Black women have the highest rates of being overweight or obese compared to other women. You want to tackle some race shit? You want Yang to tackle some race shit? That's my suggestion. It's laser focus. I've heard of these stats for the longest. It's something we know in the African American community. That's something you focus on. 67% of Americans are against cash reparations. Did you know that? 67%. It's not popular. It's popular in the African American community, but it's not popular overall. It's a tall hill to climb. So, if you want to be laser focused on something, that's my suggestion. The health disparities of that African American women have in the healthcare system. So when Yang was on stage, that's something personally I felt he could have said. If I was on stage, that's something I'd focus on. And for those people that like, social shit, you're both tackling women and you're both tackling persons of color. There you go. And it's something important. Okay? So, for those former employees that said he stumbles with race, this is something he could work on. Former employees were mad that there was a collective shrug about previous reports on how Yang treated women who worked for him, and that his cavalier use of racial stereotypes about Asian Americans and lack of attention of his record as chief executive has gnawed at staffers who claim they watched their boss similarly fumble delicate topics and conversations for years. So you're being PC. You're just a bunch of PC crying outraged people. Kick rocks, no shoes on. Like, we don't care about that. Like, positive stereotypes about Asians bother you, bro? Then I'm not sure what to tell you. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about that. He's Asians that like math is what he said. And apparently that bothers you. Okay, you don't like math, I guess. Better? I don't get it. I don't get it. I do not get it. Like, if it's like an African American going on there and saying, like, yeah, African American, I'm an African American who can dunk on Donald Trump because I like sports. And that's like African Americans being like, oh, come on, not all African Americans like sports, bro. Stop saying that. No shit, but we wouldn't do that. We'd be like, yeah, dunk on that motherfucker. But he says he's an Asian guy that likes math, and they're like, oh, shocked and awe. Like, come on. But this isn't the majority of people. This is just for these disgruntled employees. They don't like this shit. What it boils down to is they don't like how successful he ran this campaign. And, I'm not going to go through everything, but people commented on Twitter, because the article is long, but people have commented on Twitter saying the hit piece on Andrew Yang in the Times is completely bizarre. Much of it amounts to people disliking his personality. This has been an undercut in the Yang coverage. That is, bro, why personality is an offense for which he must apologize for. Who cares that he nicknames his pecs? So I guess at some point it came out that Andrew Yang nicknamed his pecs. And look, I'm gym life, so there's nothing wrong with naming the pecs. Nothing at all. So I'm pro pec naming. I think that should be a thing. We should name the pecs. That should be a thing. For those people that are offended that Andrew Yang nicknamed his pecs, I ask you, do you even lift, bro? Do you even lift? Somebody else said, I honestly think Yang should propose to institutionalize pressure campaigns to increase karaoke participation as part of his platform. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you want this $1,000 a month, you have to attend karaoke. Yang has spoken. And Tom Guerra goes on to say, there's not much meat on this dark history of Andrew Yang's story, but it's true that if he becomes a nominee, pressured employees to participate at company karaoke outings would make for devastating attack ads. So, look, totally ridiculous. This is just them throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And this goes back to why I feel Yang would be able to defeat Donald Trump. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. The people are literally making stuff up to be angry about. He pressured employees to do karaoke. Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. So those are my suggestions as far as if you want to tackle, how to help the African-American community in general. And this is not just for Yang. Anybody that's watching this that is for any other candidate, tweet that at them too, because the numbers are staggering with those health disparities, and they need to be addressed. They need to be addressed. Tom Steyer pandering about reparations because he's doing well in the South suddenly is simply pandering. And I know a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people. There were people today on Twitter crying about it. They were crying about it. I've gotten messages in my comments section crying about it. I just don't see it happening. They kill us by the droves. They lock us up to the brim in jail. We get more time for the same offenses. And you think they're just going to give you a cash handout. And what a lot of African Americans don't understand, it's not all African Americans that get it. It's the lineage. Not everybody gets that. When you dig into it, not everybody gets it. There's a small percentage of people that would actually get it. A small percentage of people that actually gets it. Most black people don't know that. When they see reparations, and I know this for a fact, when I talk to people about reparations, they're like, hell yeah, I want that money. Bro, you're not getting it. You're not even part of the calculation of the people that would get it. It depends on the lineage. You don't even get that, bro. They don't understand that. But that's fine. Again, I already went on a tangent the last video. I'm not doing another one. But yeah, New York Times. This is why you're weak. This is why you're fake news. And independent media is progressing. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you don't, let me know in the comment section why. I'm always down to talk about it. I have a Cash App, a PayPal, and a Venmo link in the description below. Please feel free to donate. Every little bit helps. Hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying out its breath.